Welcome again to the final week of the Modern Warrior Challenge, Templo Fitness's challenge that has been going on for the previous 4 weeks, or 3 weeks actually. This is going to be a guided practice as part of the silence component for the Warrior Challenge. We'll be working today with sounds around us. So you might hear, in the audio world, I guess they call it room tone, but you might hear the ceiling fan is running for me. I also have a fan over here somewhere in that range that is blowing on our internet router to try to keep it from overheating. So you'll hear noises from my environment. You might also hear noises from your environment. So a lot of folks, when they start out meditating, first thing is, I know I'm doing it wrong, or I must be doing it wrong. The other thing might be a realization of just how quickly your mind can move from thing to thing. And the other one is maybe, I don't think the breath is that interesting. Or in other words, a lot of meditation, the intro that you usually have folks work with is breath, maybe counting the breath, or mantra. So mantra would be kind of like what's referred to as like the Vedic traditions or transcendental meditation. My dad was a transcendental meditator when I was a young kid. And those are around sort of a mantra, the repetition of either a syllable or a really short word. So some folks are like, oh, that's all that meditation is. I don't want to watch my breath. I don't want to chant a mantra. Like, it's not for me. So hopefully with the 4 weeks, we've played around a little bit with how we can use meditation to turn our awareness, either our lantern awareness or our spotlight awareness, on the body and feel into the body from the standpoint of how beneficial that can be for us. It's a grounding aspect. It can also help us when we're doing physical movements or operating in space, as a modern warrior might do. For this, we're using sound around us, and the sounds around us might be the thing that is most prominent when we try to sit down and meditate, or when we're looking to be silent. We are trying to be silent, and the world is around us making noise. So it is beneficial to kind of have the ability to, out of either interest or opportunity or necessity, shift to something that can take an annoyance, the outside world being noisy and loud and just kind of wrecking your chill, and then saying, oh, I can turn my awareness to those noises, and I can meditate around the noises, either the presence of the noise, the absence of the noise, whether the noise is changing. And I can even use some strategies around using a technique called noting. So like we're in contact with that. And then we can turn that annoyance sort of into an opportunity for us to get still and be aware and present in the body. So this is the maybe most abstract and advanced of the 4 that we've done together. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that folks have been reaching out and asking questions and such. Please continue to do that. If you want to get more meditations, even after the challenge, I would encourage you to subscribe. If you want to know when I'm going live, which I've randomly been doing of late, you can click on the bell and that will give you a notification for when I go live. So those are some ways of continuing contact with the channel afterwards. So again, I appreciate that. We're going to sit for 15 minutes together. So that will a little longer. You don't have to sit the full 15 minutes if that's too much for you, but you're in week 4, you're a modern warrior. I think you can take the 15 minutes. So, all right. And again, you can use the posture that sort of best supports your ability to be present and still for the next 15 minutes. So that could be standing, that could be lying down, or it could be in a seated, so chair like myself, or seated on the ground. All of those are equal in their ability for us to be present and here. And after I'm done checking in on my posture, What am I checking when I check? I'm checking to see if my torso is upright, if I'm upright but not uptight, and where my shoulders are positionally. Ideally, want my shoulders to be down and dropped and not hunched up. Sitting in a way where my chest is open. Ideally, my nose is aligned with my navel. Some of these different cues. You may find, if it doesn't bother you, feet flat on the floor if you're sitting in a chair is helpful. Your hands can be arranged in different ways. Since I sit with a Zen meditation group, I tend to do this one, just a fancy pants thing that they call a mudra, but don't need to do that. You can also just take your hands face down and put them on your thigh. You don't have to do that thing that you always see people doing, but if you want to do that, totally fine with me. So I often am doing the hands facing on the top of my thighs. So lots of options, I know. So it doesn't need to be complicated. Whatever allows you to sit and be here. And so after I've put aside that whole posture stuff, just checking to see what's like in the body right now. So is there tension? Has it been a long day? Am I hungry? So I often am looking for whether or not I have tension sort of in the highest point of the torso, I guess. I don't know. I'm struggling for a good word for it, but in my face or around my shoulders. So I'll bring my attention to the forehead, around the eyes, the jaw. Often will find that I'm clenching my jaw when I'm not aware that I'm clenching my jaw. And just being aware that my shoulders may sort of creep up while we sit, just allowing them to drop whenever I notice that. And when I've got a handle on what the tension's like in the body, I move over to doing a few deliberate calming breaths. Again, we can keep in mind the line from the Beastie Boys. What we want to do with our breathing is to breathe slow and low. That's the tempo. Breathing in slow through the nose allows us to breathe low into the belly. Filling the belly. You're at home. You can make the belly as big as you want. And then extending and accentuating that exhale. And if we can breathe in that pattern, slow inhale, extended, accentuated exhale, that rhythm fits in with this notion of sort of a 4-7 breathing pattern or a 4-6 breathing pattern, meaning that we can breathe in for a count of 4 and breathe out for a count of 6 or a count of 7. And this is one way to clue the body into the fact that it's okay to switch into a rest and relax state. And as we've settled in, we'll switch over now to our actual practice. Settling in can be its own practice, I could say. Just a little aside, a little. But our practice for this week, our final week of the challenge, week 4, will be focusing on the sounds around us. So what might that look like, or what might that technique feel like? Noticing the sounds around me, pouring my attention into that sound. I can hear the constant whirl of my ceiling fan. And as I notice that, I can optionally add a label to help me stay in contact with that. So I can use that label here. Occasionally I hear a clock. I have a mechanical clock. So my attention might be pulled to that. I notice my attention pulled to the clock, and then I label it here. And I allow my attention to go wherever it wants in the sounds around me. So you might hear a noise outside. Your attention is drawn to that noise. Car passing. Notice or soak our attention in and notice that your attention's there. Label it here. That's H-E-A-R if you're curious, but here works just fine. H-E-R-E. And then allowing the attention to go wherever it wants within the sounds around us. Now again, your attention might get pulled to the body. So maybe you feel a chill, maybe you feel warm. And we're really focused on the sounds. So just noticing that your attention is away from what we're intending to focus on, and then gently bringing your attention back to the sounds. My voice might be part of those sounds. You can use that as a meditation object too. Noticing my voice coming and going. And some sounds around you might make you a bit reactive. Maybe you can hear the kids arguing, or the dog barking, or the cat scratching at the door. So noticing the sounds. And then you may notice the mental talk, maybe the commentary. So your choice, but we can also notice that mental talk. And also we can label that here. So with that, keep going. Every time our attention is pulled away, we have an opportunity where we might get frustrated. But if we look at that opportunity from a different perspective, it's an opportunity for us to notice our attention has been pulled away and to calmly bring the attention back to where we want it. And each time we do this, sort of the bicep curl of our mind, bringing it so that our attention is where we rest it. And hopefully getting to a point where we're okay with the potential for us to have that happen over and over, knowing that it's training this skill of non-reactively noticing, bringing the attention back without scolding, and then beginning again. Notice the attention's pulled away. My attention's not where I want it. Rest the attention back where you want. Begin again. Attention's pulled away. Noticing that, bringing it back. Begin again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for spending your silence time with me the last 4 weeks. And if you are interested in more meditations, again, you subscribe. You'll see any of the videos I put out. And if you want to know when I go live, you can click on the bell, and that will give you notifications for when I go live. All right. Have a great May.